Welcome to DAPS Magic Live. It is a night that is going to be an adventure to be, well, that's for sure. And I'm Mr. DAPS, and I'm joined by friends from all around the country for a night that I don't actually know what I'm doing. I don't think Katie does either, but everybody else does. So whoever wants to give a quick, maybe Cameron, why don't you introduce everybody?
Yes.
And they can wave or something. And I'm going to pass everything off to you, sir.
Wonderful. So welcome, everyone. This is Dungeons and Dragons. If you are completely unfamiliar with it, this is a tabletop role-playing game, which is played through a series of rulebooks and polyhedral dice, which all of us have dice. They're all very shiny, and some of us have already taken to collecting many, many, many more dice than we actually need. I won't talk about that or point them out. As I said, my name is Cameron. I'm going to be the dungeon master for this game. That means I'm going to be the one leading the narrative story. Also joining us are going to be Blue, and he is going to be playing. I'll ask your name, and then you tell me your character name. So, Blue?
All right, my character is going to be Alden the Kind Bendora.
And race and class, please.
I am a Goliath cleric.
Wonderful. And Katie, tell us about your character.
Hi, I'm going to be playing Dobbs, a mountain dwarf paladin.
I love that you're getting the subclassification of dwarf, and you're doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm very serious about it. I didn't pick mountain dwarf for nothing. I need people to know I'm a mountain dwarf, dang it.
That's right. Mikey, tell us about your character.
Well, I am playing Garrett Greenbottle. He is a halfling rogue.
Wonderful. And Luke, go ahead and hit us with it.
I'm playing Theobeak, a Aarakocran monk.
Wonderful. And Mr. Daps, finished off.
I am playing Colonel Sherman T. Potter, and I am a ranger elf. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Does anybody know the reference, by the way? I know Katie already knows because I told her, but does anybody know the reference?
Nope.
Comments. All right, we're just going to leave it there, and we'll see if anybody figures it out.
Great.
It's obscure.
A couple of important things and housekeeping things for anyone who's watched D&D before or listened to any D&D streams or played the game themselves. This is going to be a variable level D&D in that we have some people who have absolutely never played the game before on the stream. We have some people who've been playing the game for years on the stream. That's wonderful. We want everyone to be involved in this, everyone to have a chance to experience it. So as we go, there will be times where we stop and explain things that are happening. That's totally fine. If anyone has any questions, please message or tag DAPS Magic in socials. Twitter would be great. We'd be able to find that and can answer any questions there. We're also going to be sharing some of the imagery that is going to be on tonight. We're going to try to get it up on the screen as we go as well. But the most important thing is this is a collaborative storytelling adventure. So we're going to be learning and playing together as we go. And I hope everyone has a wonderful time. Any questions from the group before we begin as I look around this many-faced thing?
Your art collateral is ready, Cameron.
Ooh, art collateral's ready. So official.
Yeah, you know.
All right, great. Well, I am going to read you in with our introduction. Oh, and it looks like Blue's image has gone away. Blue, have you run away?
No.
Oh, no, there you are. Great.
You might have scrolled sideways.
I did. I was just trying to move the phone.
It happens to the best of us.
Yes.
All right. I will read you your introduction. Are we all ready to get into some Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Welcome, adventurers, to the world of Elias, your home. While each of you have your own histories, your own peoples, your own stories, you are unified as citizens of the kingdom, a unified group of nations living in harmony and supporting each other in times of peace and war. It is a widely varied land with humans, elves, dwarves, and dozens of other races, some living in tight-knit communities, some living together in large cities. All of the nations, all towns and cities are connected by various roads and paths interweaving through hills, valleys, jungles, and plains. Every road, whether simple dirt path or wide cobblestone byway, eventually comes back to the Great Hub, the wide flatlands in the center of the kingdom, dotted with farmland and little else, other than the town of Hub. Little more than an inn, a few small stores, and a small memorial for a long past war. People come through Hub for 1,000 reasons, traveling between kingdoms, stopping in on trade routes, or simply wandering through the wilds, though no one usually stays for long. The few that do remain are a close community, friendly and welcoming to the many travelers. Whether just arriving, ready to leave, or living still, this is the place where you find yourself. The sun just passed its zenith on an unseasonably warm spring day. Soft bells ring out from the small tower of the Mouse and King's Inn. The town is relatively quiet, with the occasional cluck of a chicken or the scrape of a gardening rake. Welcome to the sleepy afternoon in Hub. So, Mr. Daps, if you'd be so kind to share a map of Hub with our audience.
I think I can do that. Give me 2 seconds, though.
Sure. As you're doing that, big thank you to Cullen. He's going to be doing a lot of the art for us as we go through. We have some wonderful maps and graphics.
It is up, Cameron.
Great. So take a look around. This is Hub. If you haven't figured it out, much of this game is going to be based on Disneyland. There are going to be different locations, locales, even characters that are going to be based on the characters from the Disney entertainment packages that lands within the Disneyland parks. We're not really going to be naming them specifically, but anyone who even knows a moderate amount about Disney will probably be able to keep up with who is what. And it'll be a game for you to try to guess where we're getting these references from and what is actually happening, which is kind of the game of D&D anyway.
Can I just say I love this map? I've been looking at it for the last couple of hours, and it's like Disneyland went to Lord of the Rings.
Yep, that's pretty much the idea. Yeah, wonderful. Well, let's get started. So all of you are in Hub for different reasons, and I'd asked you beforehand to kind of prepare why you might actually be coming to Hub, what's actually happening that would bring you there. And I'm going to talk through with each of you so we can get a little description of your character, why you're here, and we're actually going to start doing a little bit of D&D individually as we go, just to kind of get us into it. So starting things off, I would love to start with, oh goodness, who can we have fun with first? Tell you what, let's start with Blue. That should be an interesting place to start.
All right.
So, Blue, tell us your character name again to remind us.
Yes. My character's name is Alden. Alden is a Goliath, and he's a rather large Goliath at that. Now, Alden had a dream, very unreasonably realistic for him, and unfortunately for him, he doesn't remember all of it, but he does know that it left him with a divine feeling that he feels whenever he casts his spells. So he knows it was of divine origin, and that's what brings him to the Hub today.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Daniel's doing a wonderful job of using character voice. It's something we talked a little bit about. Character voice is completely welcome in D&D. It's an easy way to distinguish if it's you, the person, or you, the character, talking. Keep that in mind. It does help and keeps things fun. So, Alden, I'm going to say that you are walking into town. As I mentioned, it is pretty much midday right now. You are a Goliath. You're walking into town. Where would be the first place that you would want to go in town?
Well, I'd be checking to see if there's any chapels, any religious sorts of places that I may pray and just sit to people watch for a little.
Oh, wonderful. Well, there is such a place in the center of Hub. It's not really a religious place, but it is a very large statue. Mr. Daps, you can go and bring up the picture of that. This is the memorial of the Saurian War. Go ahead and roll for me.
Give me just a second.
Sure, no worries. Daniel, I'm going to have... Go ahead.
Okay, I think I got the right one. This is the one with 2 people, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, this is the one with 2 people. Daniel, you're going to roll for me. This is our very first roll of the game. Congratulations, Daniel. You're going to be rolling a history check for me.
All right. Well, let's see what we get with this. I got a 6.
A 6. And have you already added your bonus to that?
Yes, I did.
Wonderful. Which means that Daniel Blue just rolled a 5, and then he has a +1 to history, which is on his sheet, giving him a grand total of 6. That is out of 20, meaning that a 6 is not the best score in the entire world. However, with a 6, I can tell you, you're at least aware of what happened. Even in the far reach of the Briarwilds, where you're from, we'll talk about that a bit. You are aware of the Saurian Wars. They happened a long time ago, and it was a war between elves and men. And it was actually the reason for the formation of the kingdom. You don't really know the specifics of why they were fighting or anything like that. You just know it happened a whole long time ago. The kingdom was formed around the men of the kingdom fought the war against the elves, and eventually they reached peace, which is what this statue, you assume, represents. The statue itself is towering at roughly 8 or 9 feet, so a little larger than life, and it depicts an elf on the left with a few birds around the elf's head, shaking hands with a armor-clad knight human, and they're reaching across and grasping hands. At the base of the statue, cluttered about, are many rusted weapons. There's swords and battle axes and maces and shields, all a lot worse for wear. They've been kind of scattered here, kind of haphazardly. They don't really look to be part of the actual formation of the statue, but they are just here and around. Is there anything you'd like to do while sitting here?
Well, I'd like to go and find a quiet place to sit and meditate for a little bit.
Wonderful.
See if I can make any contact.
It is a very quiet place that you're in already. There are a couple of people milling about. Just across the way on the circle that you're in is the entrance to the Mouse and King's Inn. There are a couple of tables set outside, as it is a nice warm day. And it seems relatively quiet. Would that be a place of interest for you?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So make your way on over to the Mouse and King's Inn. This is the largest building in town by far, which is to say it has a second story. So still not huge by any means. And it almost looks to have grown organically. There are additions, and even the second floor is kind of cobbled onto it. It has a very warm and inviting atmosphere. And as you sit down, an older woman comes out, human, and says, "Oh, hello there, Sir Goliath. It's rare to see your kind come down from the forest. Tell me, are you visiting from the Briar Wilds?"
Why, yes, ma'am. Yes, I am.
Well, wonderful. That is lovely to see you here. Can I get you anything, Sir Goliath?
Oh, you wouldn't happen to have any salads, would you?
Salad.
Yes. Just
That
something green that I can munch on.
Great. Yes, we've wrapped our pork in the finest tobacco leaves and lettuce wrap. Let me get you a wrapped pork. Does that sound good? Does that work for you?
Something without meat, if that's okay.
Without meat.
Just a lettuce. How about that?
We have lettuce. Sir Goliath, I shall get you lettuce. And she scampers off away back inside the Mouse and King Inn. While she's off getting your salad, let's talk a little bit about your homeland, the Briar Wilds. Let me tell you a bit about it, something that you would already know, Blue. A wild area of thick forests, rich waterways, and beautiful clearings. This is home to the largest variety of sentient beings, from every manner of fairy folk to bugbears to centaurs and every manner of beast with heart. Beautiful place. Is in the northwestern region of the Kingdom of Elias, and it is your home. Do you want to tell us anything about it? What do you think your place? What is your memories of the homeland?
Well, in my particular part of town, the Goliath don't really do much of anything but a lot of hard work. So for those of us that are not good with much of the bigger duties, many of us tend to the rest of the people. Myself, my family were part of the forge people. We would make iron and smith tools with the dwarves there. And with my family in particular, we got taken in by some dwarves who were master forgemen. And we devoted ourselves to the gods of the forge, and that's actually who I serve myself.
Wonderful. Well, fantastic. Well, we will leave you meditating and enjoying your lettuce, just lettuce, there for a moment as we move on to meet some of our other friends that are joining us on this campaign. Let me pull this up. Who do we want to play with next? Mikey, I think it's a wonderful time to have a chat with you and with Garrett, if that's okay.
That's perfectly fine.
All right. Garrett Greenbottle is a halfling and rogue. Tell me, why has Garrett Greenbottle come to the hub?
Well, Garrett is on a quest to figure out what brought him to this land in the first place. Seems to be a bit of a mystery to him. The last thing he remembers before arriving here was in the midst of a battle with a ancient blue dragon and was swallowed. But on his way down, he went down with a fight, delivered a killing blow, and he remembers being enveloped by lightning and blacking out, and then coming to in the city of Mordadak, and being tended to by a family of gnomes. And he's been spending the last few months just trying to get back to health, and now he's found himself making his way to this main part of the land, and trying to figure out what brought him here in the first place.
Wonderful. So, before all of this happened, you have a memory of a place you came from before that. But after that, you talk about waking up in Mortadrak, which is another of the kingdoms. Let's talk a little bit about that. Mortadrak is the rocky, jutting lands to the east of the kingdom, home of the dwarves and their main capital. An industrial people, their fusion of magic and technology makes them a formidable force and a strong ally in the kingdom. This land has also more recently become home to the gnomes, displaced from their lands beyond the eastern shores. They have joined with the dwarves, creating a symbiotic society. And that's an interesting thing. There are dwarves and gnomes in Mortadrak, but there's not really halflings there. In fact, halflings in general are something of a rarity in the Kingdom of Elias. Uh, you have the vaguest memories of where you came from before, but you don't really know why you're here or even where to find other halflings in this land, I would assume.
Exactly. So it's left him in a very unfamiliar place, and definitely it feels out of his element. So he's trying to find his way in this new land.
Wonderful. So you're just arriving into town. You're going to be coming from the eastern roads of Mordredrak, which leads directly into the center of the Great Hub, which is the same place that you see that statue. You're approaching from the human side of it, towards the back of the human. Are there any observances? You're looking around. Anything you'd like to do?
Really, I'm looking for the person who seems like they might have the most information.
Most information. Well, there aren't a lot of folks around now, but as you round the corner and come into the main square, the only building with really any activity is the Mouse and Kings, and a large Goliath sits out in front. Really, the only person that you can see around. As you come into view of it, there's an old woman who comes skittering out carrying a rather large plate. You would almost assume it a serving plate of lettuce, and setting it down in front of the large Goliath. And she skitters away as the Goliath tucks into a bed of greens. Considering that's the only person around, do you want to approach?
I will approach, and
Wonderful.
that's a mighty big pile of lettuce there.
Oh, good day, my young friend.
Yes. So I notice I'm new here. I'm hoping you might be able to point me in the right direction.
Hmm. To be honest, I'm a little new here as well.
Well, I guess that puts us in the same boat, I guess. So, what brings you here?
Well, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I'm a cleric, you see, and I had a divine dream, but I'm not exactly sure why I was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, I can't remember all.
Very strange. Because I too have no idea why I'm here, and that's what I'm trying to find out. So, maybe we can find out together.
What an
Perhaps you're
interesting
very
D&D
awkward
thing.
looking.
So the halfling and the Goliath sit down to a light conversation, meeting in a new place with shared mysterious identities. How D&D of all of this. As you two carry on a brief conversation, I think it's time to move on to our next friend. Let's take a look here. I think this is a wonderful time for us to get introduced to Theobeak with our friend Luke. Luke, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you look like? Let's start with that. You're an Aarakocra.
Yes, I am a Aarakocra, a bird person. I have a lot of white feathers and black feathers, and kind of coming out of the back of my head, I have some feathers that kind of look like quills. My characters are based off of the secretary bird. Let's see, maybe if I do that, maybe you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going for. So you see a simple Aarakocran monk just traveling the roads and has some kind of rusty colored stains on his shirt, maybe from a previous battle, but just walking along, minding his own business right now.
Wonderful. And if I'm not mistaken, you're coming from Spire, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Let's tell you a little bit about that. Spire, the wealthiest and most powerful of the lands in the kingdom, with the capital city of the same name. Though not the largest of the lands, in fact, the actual land holdings are much smaller than some of their neighbors. It is a busy port with fertile lands that make it an idyllic setting. Outside of her city walls, farmland with no major towns to speak of within the land's borders. Spire is a very small community to the north, although small in size but large in amount of people. It is the capital of all of the kingdom, and has the beautiful city spire with the High King's castle in it. So you are coming into the town of Hub. What brings you here?
Um. Well, I'm just. I don't know. I felt a call. I'm just going where I feel like I have to go. I'm not quite sure.
Wonderful. So, um, as an Aarakocra, I believe Aarakocra tend to have a lifespan of about 30 years. How old are you?
I know it's a little ridiculous. I'm leaving so late, but I'm 3.
Ah,
I know. Don't laugh. It's an embarrassment. My brother, he left when he was 2. So
right, right. You left the nest, as they say. Wonderful. Well, what do you do for a living, fair Aarakocra?
living, I live. I just travel where I'm meant to go. I learned some things from my father of how to defend myself and how to stay alive, and that's what I've been doing. I may have been born in Spire, but that's just a loose term. Aarakocra, we just fly around, and that's where my parents happened to uh, lay us, and that's where I was born. And I mean, I don't have really any good connection with the place. It's just where we're from. I'm had to visit there recently just to pick up a few things that we left behind, but uh, other than that, I don't really call anywhere my home.
Wonderful. Now, in D&D speak, Luke did a wonderful job of backstorying his character. For actual classing, though, he is a monk, so he is hand-to-hand combat a lot of the times. Was really cool quarterstaff stuff. But yes, wonderful job describing it in character there, Luke. So as you were coming down the south road, it's actually the widest of the roads leading in. That is the road to Spire. You're going to be approaching the statue that is coming up to you in the south. Uh, you make observances of it. Have you been to Hub before?
I'm sure we've flown over it, but we don't really know where we go. We just go.
Good deal. Well, as you
So the
come to
statue looks familiar.
Great. Well, around that statue, there are a couple of young children playing. A young boy has started to climb the base of the statue, and he's picked up a much larger sword than him, and he's kind of cheerily swinging it around a little bit. His sister comes up a little bit closer. And then off to the side, you see a very worried mother come running up and quickly chide the child and set the sword back down, not with any care, really, just kind of throwing it back onto the pile. Um, as she pulls the kids back down. Is there anything you'd like to do?
Well, I try to steer clear of children. They have a tendency of trying to yank my feathers out.
Understandable.
So
Understandable.
I'm gonna try to walk around them and see if there's a place where maybe there won't be any children.
Oh, wonderful. As you continue to wander around, some of the familiar sights of a town are there. You do see Zeke's, which is a general store, though it doesn't actually appear to be open at the moment. Really, the town seems to be more or less inactive. It is a little warm out, so you can assume people are inside escaping the heat. The only place with any activity is, of course, the Mouse and Kings, which is just on the other side of the main circle. A couple of different race folks are sitting around. We have a Goliath and we have a halfling having a lovely conversation. But make yourself comfortable in the circle, and we will get back to you as you take a look around. But I think it's time to introduce a new friend. Um, all right, looking at our list, I think it's time For Katie, it's time to talk a little bit about Dobbs. Um,
Great.
Fantastic.
There's
Uh,
nothing I would love more than to talk about Dobbs.
Now, full disclosure for anyone watching, Katie is one of our two newbies on the stream. So if we talk through a little bit more of character introductions, that's totally fine. This is a open, welcoming, and accepting place. There are no wrong answers except for when they're wrong, and we'll tell you. But
Great.
Wonderful. So Dobbs is a female mountain dwarf, her first female of the campaign, and
The
is
only female of the
only
campaign.
female of the campaign. Now, I know we talked briefly about it. Where are you from?
To be completely honest, I don't remember.
Wonderful.
I am a soldier, so I am from all over the place, and I've spent a lot of time kind of everywhere. So yes, I have a place that I am from, but it really doesn't matter.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. Well, interestingly enough, I'm going to say that you are actually posted here in Hub. Of course, soldiers are posted all throughout the kingdom as necessary. They're made up of races, creeds, and codes from all over the kingdom. It is a completely unified force. But there are a couple of postings in the Great Hub. It is a place of travelers and merchants, so it is prudent for the kingdom to have a soldier's presence there. And you're one of just a couple of people that are actually here in Hub at all. So today would be a good day for a midday patrol, which is to say a casual wander around the town. It takes all of 15 to 20 minutes to actually lap the town. So it's not something that takes very long. What are your feelings, Dobbs, about your job? Do you enjoy being a soldier? Are you indifferent to it? What are your thoughts?
I do. I do enjoy being a soldier because I want to protect people. I feel that people should be protected at all costs, and I follow the law and I follow my God pretty closely, and I make sure that people stay safe.
Wonderful. Speaking of staying safe, I'm going to say that you observed the same interaction that our Eric Cochran friend saw just from the other side of a young child picking up a very, very large sword and getting chided by his mother. Pretty soon after he gets pulled down, the small child, who is human and probably pretty close in height to you, as a probably 7 or 8 year old, that kid's probably getting pretty close to your height as a dwarf. And the kid's gonna run up to you and say, "Oh, hi. You're one of the soldiers that are posted in town, right? It's really cool. How many dragons have you killed? Have you killed any dragons? I've never seen a dragon. But I hear dragons are pretty big, and you're pretty short. I'm pretty short too, but you look pretty short as well. And I was just wondering how many dragons that is in total."
I've killed 7 dragons.
7
They're
dragons.
big. They're big, they have big teeth, they're very scary, and you should stay away from swords because you are small.
Wonderful. So, because you are level 1, I know for a fact that you have not killed 7 dragons, which is wonderful. That means that you are performing a deception on this child. So go ahead and grab your.
It's a kid.
It's going to be a very low check. Don't worry. You're going to roll a d20 for deception.
Cool. Dope. Oh, great. What? Let me pull up my character sheet. Hold on. Great. I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2 with a +1, which gives you a
No,
grand total.
I rolled a 1.
Oh, you rolled a 1, so you've already added your. Look at you using your character sheet. You're already doing fine. So grand total of 2. 2 out of 20. I'm going to say that doesn't even fool an 8-year-old.
No.
That kid's going to look at you and go, lying's bad. You're not really supposed to lie. My mom says that lying is bad. One time I took a piece of bread and I wasn't supposed to, and then I ran away with it, and then I told her a monkey took it, but I don't even have a monkey. So that wasn't very nice. But she made me return it, and it was a bad time. But that's okay. And then the kid goes running off before he even finishes half the sentence. Now, you notice as the mom kind of threw that sword haphazardly back onto the pile, a few of the pieces of weaponry actually kind of skittered off the base of the statue, and are now kind of cluttering the cobblestone walkway around. What would Dobbs do about that?
Dobbs would pick it up. I want to make sure that everyone stays safe. And I'm not messing around here. I've got to protect the Great Hub as much as I can.
All right,
I'm gonna-
do me a favor. We're going to be rolling another check. You're getting all the
Great.
checks.
Woo! Check, baby.
That's right. So this is going to be a local history check, but it is a history check nonetheless. If you could roll a history check for me, please.
Cool. Is it a D20?
That is a D20 as well. Yes.
Yay! I'm so good at this game. Cool. I rolled a 12. And then I just add my history.
Correct.
14.
Wonderful. So with a 14, you know a little bit about the nature of this statue. The statue itself is kept in pretty decent repair. As a member of the local military, you're familiar with the history of the Sarian War. It was part of your tutelage as you came up in the military. You know that the war with Sar happened a very, very long time ago, but actually the ground you're standing on was where the majority of the conflicts took place. It is the great central plains of the Kingdom of Elias, convenient place to have very large scale battles. You know what happened here, which is why the statue is here in the first place. But that is ancient history. You actually serve with elves fairly regularly. They are a very common friend in the kingdom, and they actually serve on the council with everyone else. So it's not uncommon to see elves now. This is just a bit of lore that comes from the past. And you know, with a 14, that those swords and axes and stuff that are scattered about are actually remnants of that ancient war. It's mostly farmers that live around here, so they don't really have use for weapons of this nature. Not that they'd be of any use. They're mostly rusted and half broken. So it's just become tradition to kind of dump them off at the statue the next time they come into town. Some believe it brings them good luck. Some believe it's just a good way to get rid of stuff that was clogging up their fields. But yeah, that's why all the swords and such are here. But as you carefully place it back on, I would say Dobbs would feel a little bit of regret to see what once was a fine weapon in such disrepair. So we'll leave you to your cleaning, fair soldier, as we move on. All right, next up is going to be Colonel Sherman T. Potter, who's played by Mr. Daps. Welcome. So, Colonel, we haven't had too terribly much of a chance to chat about your origins. However,
That's right.
You are an elf yourself, as we talk about elves. Let's talk a little bit about where you're from.
I'm out in the middle of the country.
Wonderful. So, Sar. Sar is the overgrown jungle lands to the southeast and the home of the forest elves. No one knows how long they have lived there, though it is clear that they were there before the foundation of any other land much older than the city spire itself. The shamanistic society was the first adversary of the kingdom and the original impetus for the formation of the Alliance of the Lands. Now the leader of the elves, called the matron, somehow divinely selected by their gods, sits with an equal authority on the council. Now, there are a small group of the Wood Elves who hold to the old ways of worshipping Dremora and are at constant war with anyone other. They live deep within the jungle, unseen for generations. But considering you're out and about, I'm going to imagine you are not one of those zealots. In fact, by having such a common name, I would imagine that you are fairly integrated into the society of the kingdom. Are you coming from Sar?
Yeah, I'm coming from wherever I happen to be coming from at any given moment. I tend to travel a lot, and you never know where the next place is going to be. It's wherever I'm needed and whatever comes next.
Wonderful. So it just so happens that Hub was in your walking path.
Correct.
All right, wonderful. Well, I'm going to have you coming up from the Sarian Road. So that's going to be coming north into town. On your left, you do see Zeke's. Again, still closed, which you would note as being a little bit odd, considering it is a little bit later than midday. But can't imagine there's much need for shopping. You yourself, I don't take you as the shopping kind, right?
Not at all.
Wonderful. So if you had something that you needed, where would you get it?
Find it.
Find it. Is finding it a nice way of saying stealing it, or would you make it yourself?
Really depends on the day. Most of the time I'd try to make it, but you never know.
Now, Colonel is something of a militaristic title. Is that a title? Do you have any soldiering background?
You know, we all have our backgrounds, and we've all served our time helping out with whatever way is needed. So yes, it's a title.
Wonderful. And how do you prefer to be referred to, Colonel?
Colonel's great.
Colonel is great. Wonderful. So looking over your sheet, you are a ranger. If anyone is unfamiliar, watch the first Lord of the Rings movie and look at Aragorn. That's a ranger. but specifically, you're a ranger that has some skill at archery from the looks of things. You're pretty good with the longbow. Um, uh, would you say that you mostly use your skills in ranged attack for fighting others, fighting beasts, fighting at all, or is it more just a survival tool?
It really comes down to what's the good in the moment.
Good in the moment. So I take it you're a pretty good person in general, or
We
elf
try.
rather.
We try.
Wonderful. And do you have any feelings about the ancient Saurian War? Does that come onto your mind very often?
Not very often, no.
Good. Well, I mean, it makes sense considering it happened so very, very long ago. Um, as you come into the town of Hub, you're going to notice there are now a couple of people milling about. We obviously have a Goliath and Halfling sitting outside. There appears to be a bird person, which I'm not sure how familiar you would be as an elf, although you're fairly well traveled if you would know an Aarakocra on sight. But they are wandering around the circle. And then, of course, you have a dwarf in what you would assume, presumably recognize as Spire Kingdom armor, a full set of plate mail, which is a bit overdressed for this town, wandering
And a bit
around
warm.
and a bit warm. You would imagine, yes. So yeah, you've got a couple of people in your line of sight. Do you do anything particular to interact, or do you keep your distance?
Oh, I'd say hi.
Say hi. So as you kind of walk your way around the circle, I'm going to say you're closest to the Aarakocra as you come around. And you say, hello, Aarakocra. How do you react to being greeted by an elf ranger?
Oh, hello. Want some snake? You look hungry.
It's been a traveling day, yeah, so I could say I'm hungry.
Well, if you really need it, here you can have what's left.
Thank you, that's very kind of you.
What brings you here?
I'm looking for the next adventure and see where I'm needed next.
What brings me here?
I would like to know what brings you here.
And I'm sure I'll find out.
I hope you do.
Well, as this very surface level conversation continues. Love it. So this is great. So you were all milling about the center region of Hub. It is continuing to be a beautiful day. Let's check back in with our Halfling and Goliath. How's your conversation going?
Oh boy. I've never seen someone quite as small as you. You're a little smaller than the gnomes and the dwarves that I'm used to.
Yeah, I get that a lot. As you can tell, I'm not from here, so I tend to get stared at a lot more than usual.
I apologize for that. That doesn't sound very fun.
I'm used to it by this point. I've been here for a few months, so.
Wonderful.
And your people, where do they hail from?
My people, well, that's a long story.
As you trail off to a long story, if I may segue in, real quick, dear friend Goliath, do you bring up being stared at? Are you yourself stared at pretty often as you travel?
So yes, because I'm a Goliath outside of the Briarwood, and two, because my arms are unusually thick. I am very strong, but being at the forge makes you work really hard. So I am kind of intimidating despite my kindness.
Oh, wonderful. Very Paranabera of you, if I can make the reference. Fantastic. Well, everyone, if I can have you all make, and this is for everyone in the group, a perception check, please.
Okay. Can you tell me how to do that?
You're going to be rolling a d20.
Mm-hmm.
And when you roll your d20, you're going to look at the top of your character sheet, and you're going to look at your, goodness, what is perception?
I found it.
Wonderful.
+4.
Yep. You were very highly perceptive as a ranger. Wonderful.
I got a 22.
Jeez.
22?
I got 21 when you include the +4.
Wonderful.
That's a natural 20 for me, +1
Jeez.
is 21.
All right, wonderful. And Katie, what did Dobbs get?
A 9.
A 9. You know, 9 in all things is not terrible. It's more
Yeah,
towards
I
11.
know, but still.
So everyone except for the person who is supposed to be patrolling the town is going to notice something.
Great.
There is a large clattering sound and a spit of dust rising up from the road leading to Spire. This would be the road that the Aarakocra just recently came down. Aarakocra, how'd you arrive at the town? Did you fly following the road, or were you walking?
I was primarily walking. I know my cousins, they tend to like to keep to the sky, but me and my family, we prefer the ground sometimes. It hurts less if you fall.
Oh, wonderful. Well, this is something you didn't actually notice on your way in, but with everyone who rolled the higher numbers, you're going to see that cloud of smoke, not really smoke, but just dust and a clattering of wheels as something very noisily makes its way into this very sleepy town. Mr. Daps, I want to give you the head up about the joining of guests, which will be happening very soon. So you hear a clattering and a noise as rounding the bend. Everyone with that perception, you're going to look down the road and you're going to see some approaching figures. Our natural 20 was the halfling. So I'm going to describe some of the things you've seen because with the nat 20, I think that gives you the rule. You're going to see 3 figures come running down the road that are all frantically dragging along a rickety wooden cart with a large box on it. With your elven eyes, Ranger, you're going to easily make out some distinct features of them. There are 2 older men and what appears to be a very small figure running beside them as well. We have one that is dressed in a long flowing blue robe with a matching blue hat, and you can make out a white beard, stark white beard. And he's moving much quicker than would belie his age. Goodness. Sorry, I'm distracted by things. Was there a password for this chat, Mr. Daps?
No.
All right, wonderful. So you're going to see that with the blue coming down the road. Excuse me just for a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, I'm not able
talking.
to do too terribly much.
I'm hopping in.
My goodness. Would you look at that? There are people.
There are people.
I'm surprised I didn't see that
Yes.
or hear it.
Y'all hear something?
Or see something, apparently.
Y'all see something? I see nothing.
Oh yes, down there.
Where?
Have your
No, it's kind of clapping.
point in the direction and
Huh? What?
All right, wonderful. I gave the information. So that's one figure. The second figure, he's dressed in. I'm going to say that our Aarakocra friend sees this. He's dressed in a simple white shirt with what appears to be a brown, almost leather apron or a craftsman apron in front of him with what you can actually see a couple of tools falling off of him and lying on the road where they fall as he makes his way forward. He does have similarly stark white hair as well as a white bushy beard. And then there's our third figure, which you can just barely make out and has actually just joined our chat in friend Steven.
Oh!
Wonderful. Steven, if you can hear us, you're going to want to connect your audio.
Hopefully. It says it's connecting still. Now, and you'll have to mute yourself, Steven.
Yep, you have just unmute yourself at the bottom there, Steven.
No problem.
Great.
Hey.
So, and the third figure is actually Steven's character. Steven, why don't you tell us a little bit about your character?
Yes. There is a 3'2", very, very short, gnomish looking young lady wearing a green cloak and a rider's cap is the best way I can describe it. A gray rider's cap. Her hair is strawberry blonde, and she has a copper brown skin with a couple of glints of copper on various spots of her face.
Wonderful. So, tell us a little bit about what's happening. You're running into town from Spire. You're as having a breathless conversation with the other two men that are with you as you're going. And the older one wearing the blue robes is going to look over at you as I pull up your character sheet, because I'm very subtle about what I'm doing here. And says, Xana, how far behind us are they? Can you see them? Do you know where they are?
Let me take a quick look, Master. Hang on just a second.
Take a roll of a perception check, please.
That can't be good. Perception 7. Yeah.
7. Wonderful. With a 7, I'm going to say that you can't really see what's behind you, but you know that you're still being pursued by whatever it was. The blue cloaked figure is going to look at you and say, Xana, if you can't really see them, something, we need to do something. Throw anything back towards the road, anything at all. Remember your training. We've been working at this.
Right. Sure. I can try it out. And Xana reaches back with her quarterstaff, and from the end of it, she fires towards the ground, where she thinks a creature might be, a blast of frostbite.
Frostbite. All right, go ahead and describe frostbite for us. This is our first spell, everyone.
Yay! Well, frostbite is a numbing frost that forms on a creature if they are hit. They must make a Constitution saving throw, and on a failed save, they take 1d6 cold damage, and they have disadvantage on the next attack roll with a melee weapon.
Wonderful. Well, considering you're not hitting anything but the ground and they can't really make a Constitution saving throw, I'm going to say you sputter and arc back a fairly impressive frostbolt that arcs some icicles that spring out of the ground, but otherwise just sit there as you continue to run away. Now, the other figure, the one with the large bushy white mustache, is going to look back over his shoulder and say, I don't think that really worked. I don't think that's stopping anything. Hurry up. We must get away.
I'm sorry. I tried my best. Let's see. What would be able to stop those creatures? You think a nice blast of firebolt?
I don't know. They have a lot of wood in them. But as you come round the bend into the town of Hub, you're going to be in full view. And at this point, Katie, you're going to have full view of them as well.
So I actually see them now?
Yes, you actually see them as they come into the actual clearing of the center of Hub. Let's start with our Aarakocra friend, Theobeak. What does Theobeak do?
What am I seeing? So I'm seeing these 3 figures and a bunch of dust coming into town.
3 figures, bunch of dust, and they're dragging a very large rickety cart with a box on it. And they look scared. You know that much.
Am I in the way of their path?
I'm going to say you're over near the statue, not really in the way of anywhere they're running in particular, but they're heading in your direction.
I'm just going to step off to the side. I don't want to get hit. And they seem like they're in a hurry. I'll let them go where they would need to go.
All right, so you take a quick flutter, and you're going to land yourself on the pedestal of the statue there. As they continue, and they're coming into town. Let's go to our Halfling and Goliath friend, who I assume have stood up abruptly at their seats at the Mouse and King's Inn.
Oh my goodness, that is horrible. We got to help them. See what's going on.
I agree. Let's head on over.
I like how casual you sound about that, Mikey. Oh, look, they're coming into town. We should do something.
Mamma mia, here we go again.
All right, Fair Goliath, I'm going to say that they've noticed you simply by your prominence and standing out. Do you want to direct them to you? The Mouse and Kings is just behind you. It's easily a landmark that they could hide in.
Oh, absolutely.
All
I
right,
beckon them, come, this way, this way.
All right. So they see you and pretty wordlessly follow. For those of you still out in the square, for our Elven Ranger, what is going to be your reaction to everything that's happening?
I'm going to observe the situation and try to figure it out.
Wonderful. Well, it seems like they're heading inside. Do you want to follow them in?
Sure, why not?
All right, wonderful. For everyone else outside, Katie, as a protector of the realm, do you want to take an investigation of that?
I thought I was muted. Yes, I would absolutely like to follow, but I'm going to follow at a distance and make sure that I can protect everyone else from whatever seems to be following them.
All right, wonderful. Well, it appears that just about everybody has started piling inside the inn. Now, actually, inside of the inn, let's pull this up here. Inside, the main room through the entrance of the Mouse and Kings is a warm and inviting with a great stone hearth to the right and a small tavern bar straight in with a stairwell beyond to the inn's three rooms. This is a common meeting place for the townspeople, warm light spilling out of the doorway and windows every evening, followed by song and mirth. Although it's fairly quiet right now. I'm going to say that other than the old woman who served you originally, the place is pretty empty. She's going to take one look at what's happening and kind of go, don't break anything. And she's going to turn and skitter up the stairs. So you have an empty great room before you. Now, at the insistence of the blue-robed man and the bushy-bearded, the bushy-mustache man, they are struggling to get the large box through the entrance of the inn. Now, it is a large door, but they are heaving and hoeing to try to get it in. What does everyone do about this?
I would like to go and help them out to lift the box.
All right, wonderful. You're going to make a strength check for me.
All right. Just a straight strength?
Just straight strength.
Okay. Well, then that's going to be a 12.
12. With a 12 and being a Goliath, you're able to pick it up. You pretty much take it out of their hands and kind of walk it through. If you had to estimate, it's about 5 or 6 stone, which in Imperial would be about 120 pounds if you had to guess. So you're able to pick it up and move it in fairly easily and kind of guide it over to one of the larger wooden tables that are kind of mixed about in the great room. As they're catching their breath, let's take a look. Xana, do you want to tell anyone around what's happening, or what do you...
First of all, Goliath there, sir. Thank you for your help. Please be careful with that as you put it down.
I will do my best.
We're careful.
Oh, never mind that. The one in the blue robe speaks up. We don't have much time, and it is of utmost importance that we defend what is in this box. There's not a lot of time to explain. He's going to turn very quickly to Dobbs, to Katie's character, and say, "You are a soldier in the realm, yes?"
Yes, I am.
I call you in conscription of service. I shall speak unto you with the authority of the High King, for it temporarily rests with me. Go ahead and roll a perception check for me.
Great. Hope this goes better than last time. Woo! It did. Oh no, it didn't. Well, it kind of did. 14.
14 is good enough. Now that you've kind of caught up with the tussle and bustle of it, this is definitely not the High King before you, but you do recognize the face of one of your superiors. This is Sale, S-A-I-L-E, Sale. You've never interacted with him before, but this is the powerful sorcerer who serves as advisor to the High King. And for all rank and file is one of your direct superiors. He continues and says, soldier of the realm, you are immediately called into duty. We must defend this inn and this box at all costs. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
What of the rest of these? Are these soldiers with you?
These are not soldiers. These are merely travelers.
I am so sorry to do this, as he looks about the group of you, but I have no other choice. Yes, I think I must. Soldier, hold out your hand. He is going to take your hand to shake it. And I want everyone in the room, and so this is going to be everyone that is here. You are all going to be rolling. Goodness, what would this be? This is going to be a Constitution check, or Constitution saving throw, rather.
Now, am I in the building or am I still off to the side outside?
I would say that you're close enough to the building to be in the scope of what's about to happen.
TOV got it 3.
3.
I got a 9 plus 2, so 11.
Wonderful.
18 minus 1, so 17.
17.
22, baby.
Xana got an unnatural 6.
Okay.
I don't know if
And Mikey, what's our halfling working with?
I have an 11.
Wonderful. All right. Everyone in the room, other than our soldier, is going to fall back prone onto their butts. As you feel a sharp burning sensation in your right wrist, almost in the exact same place where the wrist has been grabbed of Dobbs as she grips hands with Sale. It is going to be a stinging, almost like being pierced by a hornet, but also has burning sensations to it. As all of you look down at your wrists, whether covered with fur or with feathers or with natural skin, an image is going to begin to appear on it. That image, Mr. Daps, if you would be so very kind as to share it with all of us.
I'm hoping I got the right one.
Wonderful. And I'm going to be sending it to the group as well, just to make sure everybody can see it.
As soon as I get it in the text, I'll put it on the video.
Wonderful.
If I got it right.
I'm also sending it to the group just in case you all want to see it. But it is a larger circle bound by 2 smaller circles just above, interweaving in a cross-networked weave. This weave is symmetrical and it continues to connect all and almost looks as though it's bound by chains at the various linkages. Do you all have awareness of the picture now?
Oh!
Yes.
Wonderful. This image has been burned into your wrist, first white hot, and begins to settle to almost a blackish green as it continues to set into your wrist. After a moment of daze, everyone that has been knocked down, you can go and pick yourself up. But everyone here, other than Dobbs, please take 1 point of damage.
Okay.
How do I do that?
You're going to go onto your character sheet on the top right. You're going to see current and max. You will enter 1 into the blank box to the left of that and hit damage below it, and it will take 1 off.
Ouch.
Now, we are all level 1, so 1 point of damage is going to be a decent bit of hurt. I think our highest damage is probably, 13 or something like that? Who has the highest health?
Mine's
I've
13.
only got a 10.
Yeah, most of you are going to be riding around 10. So has everyone taken off 1 point of damage?
Except me, right?
Except for you, yes.
Because I'm tough.
That's right.
Master Sale, do you want me to check upstairs and see if there's any other recruits that we could round up?
No time. There's no time now.
Got it.
Sale is going to turn to the bushy-eyed man and say, Tinker, are you ready to work your craft? There are 3 of them. I might be able to take 1. The Tinker says, I think I could take a 1 as well. Do you think the rest of these will be fine for 1 more? And Sale looks at all of you and speaks over you and says, I'm so sorry, but you are now bound to this as much as we are. It is not something I wish to do in this fashion. I prefer to have those who are willing, but you've been called to service of the kingdom, and there is no time. Prepare to defend yourselves.
Meanwhile, I'm outside freaking out, looking for whatever just hit me.
Wonderful. So you are going to observe something that happens now. But first, all of you are going to make a perception check.
Yeehaw.
Different.
Ugh. Oh, geez.
Natural 20,
Not a good
25.
rolling night.
18.
13, baby.
6.
10 for Xana.
Wonderful.
18.
Great. So I'm going to say both Xana and our Goliath friend aren't going to really pick up on this, but everybody else is going to at least hear what's coming. And with a nat 20 outsider, Eric Cochran friend is going to see what's coming. Coming down that same road in Spire is a clattering of wood and clay slapping the ground as even a larger plume comes running down the road with massive clodding steps and footfall and groans come down. Eric Kokra, you're going to see 3 massive figures coming down the road, probably, I would say, 12 to 14 foot tall each. As they smash everything, there are trees knocking down, buildings are being damaged, and as they make their way towards the center, and almost a beeline for the Mouse and King's Inn. With all of the noise and clatter, I'm going to say everybody inside the Mouse and King's is going to come running outside to the small sitting area outside. And then Sale turns to the Tinker and says, I know you'll need a minute to get ready. I'll get things started. He is going to begin stepping forward, and with a sprightliness much belying his age, he's going to begin sprinting towards the 3 creatures. As he runs, his strides are going to become longer and longer until you swear you see him actually elongating and stretching. And before your very eyes, he stretches into a horse with wide wings as he gallops forward towards the oncoming threat. If that wasn't enough to distract you, the Tinker has actually just sat himself down in a wooden chair right leaning up against the Mouse and King's Inn and says to everyone near him and says, all right, everybody stand back. Things are going to get a little bit weird. With that, he is going to slap both of his wrists together, and 2 glyph symbols are going to appear just in front of his wrists, both linear and etched and increasing in complexity as he slams both of his wrists back against the wall of the Mouse and King Inn, which to your perception looks to make dents in the wall of the wood. But then the wood begins to creak and groan and actually morph around his arms. He then begins to step forward, bringing the side of the building with him as more wood and glass and iron wrought begin to fall off the side of the Mouse and King's Inn, grafting to him in various places. And yes, there is a wooden mech of the Tinker now walking forwards, of roughly the same height of the golem, with 2 massive wooden clubs at the end of each of his arms. And he is quickly making his way forward. Almost in synchronous, the large horse with the wings crashes into the large figure on the left, and this giant wooden mech of a man crashes into the being in the right, as the center one continues to run forward directly at everyone standing in front of the Mouse and Kings. And ladies and gentlemen, it is time to roll for initiative. Everyone, you're going to roll a d20. This is your order for the coming fight. I will be rolling as well.
Oh, jeez.
10.
14.
So what do I add to it? Oh, +5?
Or whatever your initiative is, yes.
What's the initiative?
It is going to be in a small box towards the top center of the screen, directly under proficiency.
Oh, then 11.
Under proficiency.
18 for Xana.
16?
Okay,
And I scored a 6.
great.
That's a 16 for me as well.
Wonderful. Remember
Mikey,
your
you're
numbers.
starting to freak me out. It's the 3rd time we've gotten the
Yeah.
same.
It's
Wonderful.
the dice.
Remember your
wondering.
numbers as we go through the order.
Oh, okay.
But first up is actually going to be Xana. Xana, what you are going to be, I'm going to say you're roughly 40 feet away from the approaching large creature.
Ooh, 40 feet away. That's perfect, because I got 120 feet to do this. I first of all take a quick glance at Tinker and his new equipment and say, I hope he has control over that one this time. But, and then I stick my staff into the ground and reach out with my left hand and fire off a firebolt at the nearest homunculus.
Very good. Do tell me what is Firebolt and what does it do?
Firebolt is a mote of fire that I'm going to hurl at a creature or object. I'm going to make a range spell attack roll, and on a hit, they're going to take 1d10 of fire damage.
All right, go for it.
Ooh. Best roll of the night so far for me. I got a 17 plus 4. Oh, 21.
All right, wonderful. So you're going to hit this large thing square in the gut. Now it is going to take that hit and stagger just a bit, but it's not actually damaged it all too terribly much. Real quick before we move in the order, if I could have Xana. Xana, I'm going to say you're more or less aware of what this creature is, but still for an understanding of it, why don't you make I'm not sure if this would be Arcana. Let's make an insight check, please. Or just an investigation check.
Yeah, it's 5.
The 5. All right,
I'm still learning, guys.
With a 5, you know that this is one of the Tinker's creations, but other than that, you don't know a lot of the specifics of it. All right, great. Next up in the order, I think, was 16s. Who had 16s?
Right here.
Yep.
All right, both of you did. How do we determine a tie? Luke, I think you know this off the top of your head.
Whoever has the highest dexterity.
I have +3.
That would be your total dex.
Oh, 17. Please don't say you have 17 also.
17 have I as well?
Oh
Negative 2.
Not kidding.
That's funny.
All right,
Twinning from across the country.
You had
well,
me for a second.
the magical power of DM be instilled. Mikey, why don't you go ahead and wield your character's power next?
All right. Well, my first instinct would be to find the closest place to conceal myself.
Wonderful.
What would be the nearest place I might be able to do that?
Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
That's going to be a 6.
A 6. All right. Not the best roll in the entire world.
Nope.
But it is, with a 6, you have a hole in the building behind you from where the Tinker just ripped things out. And there is the statue just to the left ahead of you that isn't really blocking the view between you and the approaching creature, but is there.
Okay. I think I'm going to sneak into the hole that was made into the side of the building, but position myself to where I can still kind of have a view of what's coming.
All right, great. Well, you're still at about 40 feet away from this thing. Do you want to ready any actions, or are you going to hold there?
I'm going to withhold my action for now.
All right, great. So just so everyone's aware, you can ready or hold an action on your turn. If it's not convenient for you to have something to do right at the moment, you can ready an attack or a spell to be used and sprung when it is most appropriate. But you can only do that during your turn, and if it gets back to your turn and has not been activated, then it's pretty much lost for the turn. But something to be aware of. All right, you're holding at the door. Next in the order, even though tied in the order, is our Elf Ranger. Elf Ranger, what would you like to do?
Do I want to attack?
That's something you would have to tell me. However, if you are interested in defending, that would probably be the logical choice. Now,
Yes.
the thing is about 40 feet away.
Okay.
During this turn, you can move up to 35 feet. That is your walking distance. So you are allowed to move that distance to achieve an action. If you move 35 feet towards it, you will be within 5 feet of it, which allows you to do any of your short range stuff. Now, you do have a bow and arrow that has a range of 150 feet. So from right now, you could absolutely hit it from this distance, or you could take a shot at it.
Yeah, I'd like to try that.
All right, wonderful. You're going to be doing an attack. So you're going to be rolling a d20 to
Okay.
attack.
How about a 6? Well, plus 5, which would be 11. 11.
So the way this works, you did that perfectly. You
Okay.
get the 6, you add whatever your modifier is to it, in this case, hit DC of 5, which gives
Yeah, I got that.
you a total of 11. You are attacking a creature that you do not know the armor class of. I'm going to look at the armor class of this creature, and I'm going to tell you that no, unfortunately, that does not hit.
I'm not
So you're going to
surprised.
take that shot. It is going to go whizzing just by its head as it continues to run forward. All right, next in the order is the creature. Oh, and I'm sorry, I skipped over a couple things. Both Mikey and Mr. Daps, if you would be so very kind as to roll investigation checks, please.
Remind me how to do that?
You're going to roll a d20.
Okay.
Going to have your investigation score in the middle column of your character sheet.
That's a 9 for me.
Wonderful.
I'm happy to say it's a 6.
6, wonderful. All right, both of you are aware that this is a creature of a magical origin, but other than that, you don't really know. All right, so the creature is up next. So far, it's only really been hit by one of you, and so that is where its attack is going to be addressed. So it is going to be taking a shot at Xana. It's going to be sprinting forward on very, very long legs. And it's going to get to about probably, say, 20 feet in front of you, which is going to be just a little too short to hit. However, it is going to reach over and pick up one of the chairs that is scattered around and go ahead and throw that at you.
Good thing I'm tiny.
So that is an 8 plus. Oh, goodness. So that is an 11.
Not going to hit my armor class.
Wonderful. So this thing is going to wing a chair at you, and it is going to slam into the side of the building just behind you and kind of splinter into a few dozen pieces. Now, as a halfling, you have certain advantages over larger creatures, right?
I'm a gnome. I would assume
not halfling,
I've
excuse
got
me.
some small things though that could go with that, but
You're the halfling. Just keep an eye on it. Some of the races do have advantage over large creatures. This is considered a large creature, so keep that in mind. All right, moving down
Where
the
would
road.
I look for that, Cameron?
That would be spelled out in your probably under actions on your right side.
Uh-huh.
I think under features
It
and
would be
features and traits.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, next in the order. Who had the next number?
11.
14.
All right, 14 is going to be our next. Eric Coker, you're up.
All right, about how far away is it from me?
Now it is probably within it's 20 feet.
20 feet. So I just see this thing start throwing these chairs, and they're destroying buildings, and I'm not really a fan of that. I'm gonna rush up, running 20 feet up to it, and taking out my quarterstaff, going to try to attack it.
All right, wonderful. Take a swing.
9.
9 total. Unfortunately, you're going to take a swing at it. It is going to clip the side of that thing's leg, and it's not even going to notice. It has been hit.
I'm gonna turn around and bonus action unarmed strike.
All right, wonderful. One of the features of being a monk is he has the option of taking a bonus action unarmed strike, which means he can attack again, usually with a fist or a foot. But because he is an Aarakocra, odds are he's probably going to kick.
16.
What are you doing?
Kicking.
16. 16 is going to hit. Whatever.
All right. 1d4. 1 plus 3, 4.
4.
4 damage.
All right.
This will be bludgeoning.
Thank you. Well, unfortunately, as a bludgeoning damage is immune to this creature. So, does not take the damage. It's going to shake it off pretty quickly. All right. Next up in the order is going to be Dobbs, I believe.
It's me.
Creature is about 20 feet away from you.
Wonderful. I would like to walk forward 15 feet, and I would like to swing at it with my battle axe.
Wonderful. I like the idea of you walking forward while all this is
Oh
happening.
yeah. No, I am
Casually,
fully.
super cool.
I'm cool. Guys don't look at explosions. You've got to understand. I've seen some things in my day as a soldier. None of this phases me. I'm like, cool, sleepy little town. One thing, whatever.
Dwarves are amazing.
Now, for context, if anyone is unfamiliar, a round in combat is roughly 6 seconds. So being the last person in combat, this is all taking place in about 6 seconds of action. So pretty cool stuff happening all within 6 seconds. All right, going to swing with your battle axe. Go ahead and swing that attack.
18.
18 is going to hit. So now we get to roll for damage. Are you familiar with how to roll for damage for your battle axe?
It's D8, right?
Yep, you're going to roll a D8, and then, no, I'm sorry, you're proficient with it. So you're going to roll a D10.
Okay. I'm gonna roll a D10. Yeehaw! If I can find a D10, I don't know what that one looks like.
For context, because of your Dwarven proficiencies, you get a little bit better damage on it.
Which one's the D10? I can't find it.
It should look like this.
It's the diamondy looking one.
That one? Okay.
Or it might have more zeros on it.
This one has, I can see up to 6. No, so 7.
It's the one with a
8,
zero on it. Is that what you said?
Because I would think it'd be this one.
Is it the one with the 0 on it?
No, that one's 8.
That is a D8.
Okay. This one has a 9 on it,
That should be the one.
but it doesn't have a. Okay.
It'll have a 0.
It would have a 0.
Okay.
It has a 0.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay.
Dodged a
0
bullet
would be a
there.
10 if you roll it.
Yeehaw. Okay. How do I tell what I landed on?
The one that's
It'll be
most
the
up.
one facing up.
Awesome. So is it 5 plus 3?
Exactly.
8.
So you did 8 damage.
Math.
All right, perfect. So you take a nice swing down on this thing. Your battle axe is going to actually cut into it just a little bit. It's kind of wedged a little bit in wood, and it takes you just a second to pull away from it. And it's definitely taken a good hit. So it is. There's a chunk missing from it now. All right. And that, I think, is the end of the first round. For those of you who just went, that's going to be the Aarakocra and the Dwarf. Both of you roll investigation checks as well.
That's a D20.
Yes.
Extra 1.
Natural 1. You're aware that there's something in front of you.
This is just like those children that I fought outside the city.
Yep.
4.
4. You are a little bit more aware that there's something in front of you, but for the most part, nobody really knows what these things are. Fantastic.
My glasses. I can't see without my glasses.
All right. So with that, we're going to go back up to the top of the order. Who was first? That's going to be
That was Xena.
friend Steven. Xena.
Yes.
All right, Xena, what's up?
Having seen that her firebolt did not work so great, she's going to say, I would have guessed that wood would not like fire, but okay, here we go. She picks up her quarterstaff, aims it directly at the chest of that homunculus, and fires off another frostbite.
All right, go for it.
And that will be I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw.
Wonderful. So with saving throws, that is going to be on the defender. In that case, I'm going to be rolling a d20. And I'm going to take a look at my roll, which is a 4, and add my Constitution modifier, which is +4. So I get 8 total.
Gotcha. All right, that is going to fail, which means you take 1d6 cold damage, which would be a 3. And you're going to have a disadvantage on your next weapon attack roll.
Wonderful. So that's something that has not come up yet for everyone. Advantage and disadvantage. In 5th edition, there's a wonderful system called advantage and disadvantage. If you have advantage on a roll, it means you get to roll the dice twice and choose the best of the 2 rolls. If you have disadvantage, you roll the dice twice and choose the worst of the 2 rolls. I can award advantage or disadvantage if I think you're doing something just really cool, or if you're being really descriptive, or there are certain mechanics in the game that will make you have advantage or disadvantage, just like what happened now. So on my next turn, I will have disadvantage and have to roll twice at whatever I'm doing, and take the worst of the 2 rolls. All right. So next up in the order is going to be our is that
Green bottle.
Green bottle? Yes, please.
All right. So, from where I'm standing, how far away is this creature now?
He is roughly 20 feet. Blue, did we skip over you?
I think so.
Okay. Let's throw you back into combat now. So before Green
Okay.
Bottle goes, you're up.
Okay, I'm gonna take my crossbow and I'm going to fire at the creature.
All right, wonderful. Hit it.
All right, and I got a 12.
A 12 is not going to hit. Unfortunately. Now, just out of curiosity, because you are a Goliath of men, is this a normal sized crossbow or is it an appropriate sized crossbow?
It's appropriate sized.
So it's a beefy crossbow. I was
Yeah.
almost imagining you had a little pew. Pew, pew. All right, cool. Well, it doesn't hit, unfortunately. Did you want to take any of your movement after that, or are you good?
I would like to step 20 feet to the side if I can.
Wonderful. So you're going to strafe over to the right. There's a good amount of room over there. Go ahead and roll an investigation check for me because we haven't had you do that yet.
My investigation wields me a 9.
9. All right. You're aware that this is a magical construct of some kind. That's about it. Man, you guys are not the best
I am not rolling
investigators.
well.
Let's just say that. All right. So back to Green Bottle in the order, please.
All right. So, if I am remembering correctly, I do have an ally or allies within 5 feet of the creature.
Yes, you do.
All right. So, I'm going to pull out a dagger and I'm going to throw it at the creature. And hopefully, if it hits. Checking my stats here. There we go. Okay. It's going
Sorry, could you
22.
repeat? 22. That hits real good.
Right.
All right.
So I'm going to, since I have a ally next to the creature, I'm going to use sneak attack,
Okay.
which allows me to add a d6 worth of damage.
All right, wonderful. Hit it.
It's going to be 7 damage. Piercing damage.
That actually is, thank you. That is going to actually throttle him quite a bit. He's going to wobble just a little bit on his leg. Still standing, but yeah, you took a good chunk out of him. All right. Next up in the order is our Elf Ranger.
Time to take another shot.
Go for it. Now, this is something that we should note as level 1 characters. There aren't a lot of options of the things you can actually do. So do not be surprised if there's repetition in the things you're doing. As you continue to level up, you'll have access to more spells and cantrips and various other things. But for now, hit it with what you got.
I was gonna say, it seems like my only option is the longbow. So.
Hey, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Go for it.
A 9, and then I've got +5, so 14.
That is going to hit. So now we're going to roll that attack. Go for it.
Do what?
So you're going to be rolling that attack next.
So what do I do?
You're going to look at the numbers right next to your longbow, and it's going to say 1d8 plus 3.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to take your d8, which is the diamondy looking of the dice.
Okay. Got it.
You're going to roll that.
Okay. I got a 6.
6 plus 3
Yeah.
is going to be your attack of 9.
Yes.
Wonderful. So that is your damage. I'm going to say you peg it right in the head pretty good. Now there's an arrow sticking straight out of its head. Normally that would drop a creature with a brain, but that doesn't appear to have done that.
Doesn't have a brain, huh?
But it's still, it definitely has taken a hit. All right. So next up in the order is, I believe, Aarakocra.
Your turn.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It's my turn. Correct. Well, not my turn. It's the creature.
Don't tell him that.
All right. I'm going to say the last one to actually hit it and cause a severe amount of annoyance because it caught him off guard is going to be the halfling who is currently huddled over towards the building. It is going to take a rush at you and try to slam into you, which is to say take a slam at the building. So it's going to take both fists above its head and swing down at you with an attack.
Does it leave my range?
Yes, it just left your range, so you do get an attack of opportunity. Thank you.
All right.
So what's happening right now?
So,
If a
quarter
creature
staff.
leaves the range of another creature, which is to say 5 feet, you get an attack of opportunity. It's a free attack that they get to take at them.
22.
That hits.
All right. Not going to matter much. 8, 11, bludgeoning.
Yep, so that's not going to do too terribly much as a bludgeoning attack. But still, you gave it a good thwack as it went away. All right, it's going to take that, and it's going to swing down at you. Unfortunately, the creature rolled a 2. Plus 5 is 7. So
Yeah, that's not gonna
7,
hit.
Does that hit your armor class?
Nope, that's not
No,
gonna
it
hit.
is not. So I'm going to say that because you're still pretty much concealed by the building, it's going to pretty much hit the building more than it hits you. And there's going to be a little bit of debris that comes around, but it's not going to actually hit you. And
Okay.
it kind of cries out with a guttural yell as it does so. Next up in the order. Now
Wait,
it is.
did the building cry out?
No. This was very much the creature.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Maybe the
building?
property values cried out just a little bit.
And,
Oh, no, my-
how far did it move from me?
It is now roughly 15 feet away from you.
15.
Yes.
I'm going to run up and do a spin and kick and use my talons on my feet.
Very good.
21.
21 hits.
5 slashing.
5 slashing. Wonderful. All right. Now you're actually tearing some chunks off of this thing. Some various woodwork and other things have begun to fall off of the creature. It's looking a little bit worse for wear. As we move next in the order to Dobbs.
So I'm going to use my bonus action.
Oh, bonus action. Excuse me.
So just kind of following that momentum, I'm going to spin and kick with my other foot using my talons.
All right. Just because you are using a sweet double kick Bruce Lee move, please take advantage on this roll.
17.
17 out of both rolls?
Yes.
Wonderful. So that does hit.
4 slashing.
All right, wonderful. Yeah, it's got some chunks coming off of it now. All right.
That will end my turn. I'm going to stay next to him.
All right, wonderful. Dobbs, you're up
how far away is it?
roughly 15 feet away.
Okay. Well, then I am going to whip out my crossbow and I'm gonna shoot it.
All right, and this is going to be pretty much shooting at its back. Dark.
Pew pew.
All right, go for it. Take a shot.
8.
8 does not hit.
Oh,
unfortunately.
11.
11 also does not hit.
Cool. I look like an
Alright.
idiot then, don't I?
All right. Do you want to move at all during your turn, or is that going to do it for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna get closer because it seems to keep getting farther away from me.
Sure. So you're moving into range. It's very close to the Mouse and Kings right now.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Since we're at the end of the order, you're going to hear a loud crashing sound coming from the battle that is ensuing beyond you.
We still have one
Yeah,
more.
we still got me.
Daniel?
Yeah, I'm the last one. I got a 6 on the initiative.
Oh, you did. No, I'm going to keep you in the same place that you were in. So you're
Okay.
gonna be in that same place in the order.
Got it.
But yeah, so you're gonna hear a crashing sound. As you look over you, there are sparks and fire going off in one of the battles where Sale is. He appears to be quickly switching between different creatures. In one moment, he appears to be a long snake going through the air, and then suddenly coming down with the fist of a large gorilla as he slams into the very similar creature that is there. And then he spins around and is whipping back and kicking with the feet of a large bull creature. And it's happening almost quicker than you can see, but he seems to be making pretty good work of it. And then as you appear over to the Tinker, this is not so graceful. As this large mech is just wildly swinging around and taking out just as many chunks from the golem as it's taking out of itself, and pretty haphazardly tearing it up. But they seem to be holding from where they are. All right, we're going to move back up to the top of the order. That is going to be Steven's go.
All right. So I am going to turn my staff to the other end and jab it in the direction of this creature, and I'm going to fire off some magic missile at it.
Magic missile, probably the most standard of spells in the D&D book. I love it. What does magic missile do?
Magic missile is going to fire off 3 darts of magical force, and they hit automatically. They're going to deal 1d4 plus 1 force damage each, and I can choose targets, but I'm going to aim them all at this one creature we're fighting.
Wonderful. For everyone, this is pretty much the old faithful of spells in D&D. This is fairly standard for our magic users.
5, 2, that's 7, and so that's 9 total damage between the 3 darts.
All right, that's still going to do a good sizable hit on it. It's looking pretty worse for wear. It's a little laggy as it looks back to see where it just got hit from. All right, next up in the order is going to be Daniel.
And at the end of my turn, if I'm not within melee range of it, I am going to back up about 15 feet.
Go for it. Yeah, you're backing back into the circle.
All right, then. I'm going to go ahead and take a pop shot at it with my crossbow.
Wonderful.
Oh, sweet. Okay, maybe I might actually hit this time. That was 15.
Yep, that hits.
Oh, sweet. Okay, all right, let's see. I deal, let's see, one piercing damage.
All right, cool. Well, you hit it.
I hit it.
Very good.
Yep.
All right. Any other motion for your turn? Are you good?
I would like to back up towards the door.
All right, very good. So you're kind of backing away from the creature just a bit.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, next up in the order is our halfling friend.
All right. So this golem creature is right on me. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right
Okay.
upon you.
So I'm going to take a strike with my rapier.
Rapier.
And are we flanking it right now?
Yes, you are flanking. It is pretty much facing.
Yeah, so I
green
think you would
bottom.
have advantage.
That is true. Take advantage on the roll.
All right. It's going to be a 19.
That is going to hit.
Right.
I believe since you have advantage, you can apply sneak attack to it.
That's true.
Very good. For everyone's reference that is watching tonight, Luke is very much the most knowledgeable D&D person on this stream. He knows the ins and outs of this, so he will be our reference to rule, and I accept him correcting me at all times.
And that's going to be 12 piercing damage.
Jeez, all right. Very good hit.
And then I'm going to use my bonus action
All
to
right,
disengage and get away from this thing.
Right, getting away from this thing is pretty much going back into the inn in a fashion.
Yeah.
So You're going to go back in. You're actually pretty close to the box that is still set up on that table, okay? And with a 12, if this thing could be bleeding, it would be. But it does not appear to have a lot of blood coming out of it. But still, it looks pretty worse for wear. As we go to our elf ranger, you are actually probably about 10 feet away from this thing right now.
Well, then I'm still shooting him because everything else is 5 feet.
There we go. Now you can move up to 25 feet, so you could move into melee range and try to attack it if you like.
Yeah, I'll get this longbow thing figured out.
Do it. It is actually probably your most effective weapon right now, so that's completely reasonable.
18 plus, what, 5?
That is a beefy hit. Go for it.
What is that, 23? And then I do the...
So 20, the attack, yeah. So once you've done your actual attack, I tell you that it's beaten my armor class, and then that's when you actually roll for damage.
And then I do the 8 one?
Yes.
Okay. A 6 plus 3. So 9.
6 plus 3. So a 9. You're going to pull back as the creature just barely turns its head towards you. And with the full length of your bow, you're going to release. And pretty much right next to where your other arrow was already sticking out of it, you're going to hit with the other one. And it is going to drop the creature. As it falls forward, it's going to clatter and crash, taking out a little bit more of that building.
I
But
cover
it
some of the debris
has
with my
fallen.
wound.
Yes, very dramatic. Very good. At a similar timing, you're going to look over your shoulders as one of the arms gets ripped off of the Tinker Mech's creature. The Tinker is then going to reach out with its other arm, grab the arm that was just fallen off, pull it back, swing, and strike the creature with it, knocking it prone to the ground. Looking back over to Sale, he is still morphing between creatures, but it appears the golem has him grappled and is holding him in a snake-like form and stretching him taut, and is holding him very strong. You are out of combat at the moment. Would anyone like to do anything?
How far away are they? The battle right now?
They're probably about 60 to 70 feet. So let's say 60.
Kind of. Are we just gonna keep our same initiative?
We're out of initiative. Whoever wants to take it.
I'm going to go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Xana, seeing her master being stretched out and not knowing him greatly at this point, probably thinks he's in trouble and is going to run as far as she can to try to deal with that.
All right, so you're sprinting off. Eric Coker, what were you doing?
I'm going to take to the sky and fly 50 feet, which should put me within about 20 feet of it.
Yep.
And just kind of flying there, I'm going to take my wing and bag it hard and throw a dart, or in this case, a feather, and try to strike the creature stretching the snake.
All right, go ahead and roll.
17.
17 will hit.
5 piercing.
All right, with 5 piercing, I'm going to say you distracted enough for it to drop the snake. But as it kind of reaches forward and tries to grab at this feather that is sticking out of its head, which, by the way, sweetest attack ever. And
I'm fighting every instinct to not go and attack the snake.
Very good. With that distraction, the Tinker will have come crashing in. He's still holding one arm in the other arm, and he is going to jump probably a good 15 feet into the air as he comes swinging down on the head of this other creature, absolutely drilling him into the ground where he stays. So that's pretty good. The snake slowly shrivels back into the form of the blue wizard, and he is lying on the ground pretty worse for wear. What would anyone like to do?
I book it over to Sale and make sure I do a quick medicine check to see if I can do anything to help him heal up.
I also dash over to help with a medicine check to see if he's okay.
All right, wonderful.
I'm going over to the remains of the golem to get my dagger back.
Wonderful. And as a point of order for our game, for recovery of items, I do not actually care about that too much for our campaign. So some of the more minutia things, if storytelling wise, for example, Mikey just made sure his character picked up a dagger. Great call. However, I'm not going to come back, 2 games later and say, well, actually, you never picked up that dagger, so you don't have it now. That kind of thing is assumed, but it is a logical storytelling choice, and I approve of it. Wonderful. So you're making your medicine checks. I'm going to say even without rolling, he looks pretty worse for wear. But both of you making the medicine checks, can you make perception checks for me, please?
Okay.
Well, my medicine check was a 3. Now let's 16. That's much better. Okay.
Okay, so we're doing perception, yes?
Yes.
I have no idea how
then
to help him, but I'm perceiving him.
It's gonna be a 12.
12. All right, even with the 12, both of you can kind of see now that you're on very close inspection, the veins beneath his skin are beginning to glow just a little bit, very faintly. Not so much that like it's radiant or anything like that, but there is light coming off of him. And he's going to turn, his eyes are a little bit hazy at the moment, but he is going to turn to Xana and grab Xana, pull her a little bit closer and say, you know what's in the box. You're all bound now. I have no time to break the spell properly. It will hold until she is named. It will hold until she is named. That is the only way it can be broken. You are bound. You are bound. And with that, the glowing is going to intensify as sail slowly fades away into ethereal light and spreads out around. He is gone, clothing and all.
Oh, wow. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's gonna complicate things. Who is the leader of your group, Master Goliath, sir?
I wouldn't even really call us a group at this point. We all just kind of met like 10 minutes ago.
You don't know each other?
No, not really, no.
No.
That thing makes things even more interesting. Okay. Well, we should all gather at the box then, and I will try to explain everything with the Tinker's help.
And with that, the Tinker is walking towards you. Bits of his mech are falling off as he's walking, and he's pretty much just himself as the strewn rubble gathers behind him, and he says, at least she's safe. Come on, I have a bit of explaining to do. I forgot I'm supposed to be very Italian. So he pulls you in. He pulls you in just through the gaping hole in the Mouse and King's Inn and gathers you around the box. Just
As
coming down
back, I'm gonna look for anything shiny and just collect it.
The only thing shiny
Any nails or
there are nails. There are a couple other things. So yes, you have some detritus from the building.
I pull out a little pouch and put them in there and seal it back up.
Good, very shiny. Would you like to pick up any other seeds that you find lying around, or breadcrumbs?
No, but if there are snakes or rodents, then I'll try my best.
Look, called the Mouse and King's Inn, so.
Could somebody go and gather up Master Kokra, please?
So you all get inside. There is the old woman peeking down through this from the stairs. She is scared pantsless, but you can see just a tinge of anger as she looks at the giant hole in the side of her building.
Madam, I apologize greatly for the damage to your wonderful establishment. All I can promise you is that the High King of the Spire will cover all expenses once we sort all of this out.
That is the problem, isn't it? Isn't it? The Tinker turns to all of you and says, I'm sure you do not know, but the High King has died. The High King has passed suddenly, and we don't know what happened, but we need a successor. Now, I need everyone to make. This is going to be a history check, please.
Which die?
D20.
Okay.
I got a 2.
Ooh, appropriate for your character.
I got a 10.
Wonderful.
I think I already
20.
knew this, but I've got a 19, so
Okay.
21.
Wonderful.
Was that 13 for me?
Wonderful. Okay. Eric Okra, I can catch yours.
2.
2. Wonderful.
2.
All right. Other than our Goliath and Eric Cochran friends, you know almost immediately what this means. The High King is the ruling person of the kingdom. He or she sits as chair of the council, which is made up of a ruling member of each of the lands that many of you hail from. But the High King rules all. The High King normally names a successor, and the successor will usually take over very close to the time of their passing. It's a very ceremonial thing, but it is important that all nations basically ratify the new High King. That is a title only. It is a genderless office, but it's always High King. As you are mulling this over, the Tinker is going to reach over and say, fortunately, the High King did name a successor, but there were complications. With that, he's going to reach and actually pull the lid off the top of the large box. And peering inside, you're going to see the form of a beautiful young woman with just the hint of a tip to her ears that some of you can assume makes her at least a little elfin. Not much, but she does have some elf in her. And as you look over, her beautiful golden auburn hair flowing down in folds as she lies very peacefully in a blue dress. And the Tinker is going to look down and say, "This is my daughter, Lucia. She sleeps now and will not awake until she is named High King. That is what you are bound to do. Sale has bound you to the mission of naming her king. And through complications I cannot even begin to explain now, she had to be put to sleep for her own protection. We must name her king, and in order to do that, we must gather the council. Unfortunately, that is your mission now, and you have no choice but to accept." As he says these words describing what is happening, the symbol on your wrist begins to glow faintly. No longer hurts, but you feel as though there's a string somewhere in your chest pulling you forward with something you can only describe as a sensation of destiny. Our Goliath friend, a cleric, can probably speak to this the most. It's a pull that he has felt before this, coming into the town of Hub. You recognize this now as the thing that has brought you here. For the rest of you, whether by hook or by crook, you see the long line of your actions leading to this point, knowing that no matter what, this had to happen. And now that it has happened, you are bound to seeing it complete. And with that, we will end our first session of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yay.
How does everyone feel about that?
How interesting.
Very
Off to a
interesting.
great start.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, I do want to give a big thank you to Cullen. He did most of the graphics you saw this evening, including the very wonderful, very subtle mark that is on the wrist of all of our characters now. We'll, I'm sure, be sharing this all on social media if you want to take a closer look later.
It'll be up on Twitter, right?
Well,
Yep.
yes, wonderful.
That's my plan.
Of course, we will have all of our characters and descriptions as we continue to grow them in this game. We'll be posting to dapsmagic.com when the next of these games will happen. I don't think we have a set schedule yet, but we'll certainly let you guys know when we're going to be able to play again. If you liked what you saw, please let us know. Tag DAPS Magic on Twitter. Please let us know what you enjoyed about the campaign, what things you'd like to see. If we get enough interaction, we would love some audience interaction as we continue. I'll be posting or at least sharing to the channel through our team some things that you can contribute if you're interested in contributing to our campaign. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Congratulations to our first timers, first time playing D&D. You did a wonderful job. And thank you very much to our veterans who have kept the campaign going. I think we have a stable thing. And just to be clear, friend Steven is going to be a consistent player with us. That was just a bit of
Sweet.
subterfuge, but he
That's
will be
awesome.
joining us continually. But this
Good to
is
see
the
you, my
Down
friend.
Party. Yes.
Good to see you too.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Happy adventures.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.